current WWE roster is home to many superstars that have at one time been an active part of All Elite Wrestling. However, in many cases, the wrestler in question had already worked for WWE long before they showed up in AEW. But did you know there are 15 names on the current roster that wrestled in AEW first? To filter out the list, we're going to follow two very specific rules. First, the wrestler in question must be under WWE contract as of May 2024, and secondly, they cannot have been under WWE contract at any point before their first AEW appearance. This weeds out the likes of Shawn Spears, Andrade, and the OC, who again have worked for AEW in the past, but did so after already being signed to WWE. So are we clear? Okay, good. So let's get into it then as we look at every WWE superstar who wrestled in AEW first. Brian Pillman Jr., the son of the late great Brian Pillman, would debut for All Elite Wrestling on the company's first ever event, Double or Nothing 2019, as part of the pre-show Casino Battle Royal. He would later continue to appear for the promotion from July 2020 onwards on both Dynamite and Dark after his employer MLW shut down temporarily due to the pandemic, before signing full-time with AEW just 1 year later. His run as a permanent roster member would last 2 years, with Pillman mostly appearing on Dark, though his short television rivalry with MJF would no doubt be the peak of his AEW career. Fast forward to July 2011-2023, exactly 2 years after signing his AEW deal, Brian would hit free agency, with WWE showing no hesitation before inviting him down to the Performance Center. He would find himself debuting on NXT television in September of that year, with vignettes denouncing his father's surname, taking on the mantra of Lexis King, having since worked several times on AEW television in matches against the likes of Carmelo Hayes, Baron Corbin, and Obafemi. And if you're interested in controlling who will be the next AEW star to jump to WWE, or maybe even the next big WWE star to make the move to AEW, why not check out the best pro wrestling booking simulator on the market, Total Extreme Wrestling. TEW 2020 allows you to take the reins of your favorite wrestling promotion whilst controlling the signings they make, the booking of the shows, managing the backstage drama, this whilst the entire wrestling landscape evolves around you. Imagine this as the Madden franchise mode, or the NBA MyGM of the pro wrestling world. Don't let the 2020 in the name fool you though, as this game can be as up to date as you like, with many real world mods available to choose from on TEWDB, whether you want to start in the current month, or even go back to a bygone times such as the Attitude Era to defeat or even save WCW. The choice is yours. So head to TEWDB.com and click the banner at the top of the page, which will take you to the official Grey Dog software store, where you can purchase the game to try out for yourself. That's TEWDB.com, and click the banner at the top to begin your journey to becoming the greatest wrestling booker of all time. During the pandemic era, AEW head of talent relations Christopher Daniels would invite then 21-year-old independent standout Ben Carter to work on AEW Dark, where he would make 2 appearances, this after impressing for the likes of GCW and Beyond Wrestling. He would even make his AEW Dynamite debut on the special Late Night Dynamite in September of that year, with the young high flyer being touted as a potential breakout star for All Elite in the coming years. However, Carter would be struck by visa issues that prevented the Englishman from returning, which ultimately led to a big opportunity with WWE instead. At the time, WWE was still running NXT UK in Ben's native country, which was a move that he was able to make with no visa issues whatsoever. Now going by the name of Nathan Fraser, he's still under WWE contract in the American NXT following the closure of the UK branch, having picked up the NXT Heritage Cup and the NXT Tag titles during his time with the wrestling giant. Dragon Lee has long been touted as the next Lucha Libre superstar ever since his time in Lucha Libre AAA and New Japan Pro-Wrestling, with him having the athletic ability and the wrestling heritage to make it big in the sport. During his stint in AAA in Mexico, Lee would work one program with their American partner at the time, AEW, working a total of 1 match under the All Elite banner. The bout would go down on an August 2022 episode of Dynamite, where he would team with his brother Roosh and LFI teammate teammate Andrade Alilo, losing out to the Elite Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks in what was the first round of the inaugural AEW Trios Championship tournament. After the match, Andrade and Rush would then attack Dragon Lee, unmasking him in the process, with many thinking that an inter-family feud was on the horizon. However, after his AAA contract came to an end, a bidding war between WWE and AEW would ensue, with Lee ultimately deciding that NXT was the right move for him at the time. Interestingly, Dragon Lee would announce that he'd signed with WWE after he and Dralastico defeated AEW's FTR for the AAA World Tag Team Championships in Mexico, a move that added to the souring relationship between AAA and AEW, with it catching the latter off guard. Before Javon Evans signed with WWE in January 2024, the former Deadlock Pro Wrestling World Champion would appear on AEW's YouTube show Dark 3 times between August 2022 and February 2023 under his former ring name of Jay Malachi. He would be on the losing side on all 3 occasions in his total of less than 13 minutes bell time for the company, before ultimately being picked up by WWE just months later after his initial tryout in September 2023. According to reports, WWE are very high on Evans and see a big future for him, perhaps making him one that got away for AEW when we look back in a few years' time. Yet another former Deadlock Pro Wrestling World Champion that was signed up to the WWE Performance Center is Saquon Sugars, somebody who also has experience working in New Japan Pro-Wrestling, GCW, and even Control Your Narrative over the years. During his time as an independent wrestler, Sugars would also venture into All Elite Wrestling in 2022 during the final stretch of AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, where he would work a total of 4 matches. Then known as Lucky Ali, he would lose to Frankie Kazarian, Dante Martin, Blake Christian, and Fuego del Sol in matches that all lasted less than 5 minutes, this before being picked up by WWE in October, having since made 1 television appearance in a loss on NXT Level Up. Ren Sinclair, formerly known as Maddie Rankowski, has quickly ascended up the wrestling ladder since making her debut in October 2019, having won Tag Team Gold in the National Wrestling Alliance before signing with WWE as part of the December 2023 Performance Center class of inductees. Before joining WWE, Rankowski would make several appearances for AEW over the course of a 2-year period, debuting on an episode of AEW Dark in December 2020, where she would lose to Layla Hirsch, with her final match for the company coming in December 2022, where she teamed with Vert Vixen in a losing effort against the team of Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale. During the 2-year span, Maddie would in fact work a total of 25 matches under the All Elite banner, and as of this recording in May 2024, that is more than she's had with WWE spread over NXT live events, NXT television tapings, and NXT Level Up. Carl Fredericks would make a name for himself after graduating from the New Japan Pro-Wrestling LA Dojo in 2018, before winning the Young Lion Cup that very same year. During the majority of his time with the Japanese promotion, he would be part of their United States-based brand, New Japan Strong, until his contract expired in August 2022, where he became a free agent. As we know, New Japan have a strong relationship, no pun intended, with All Elite Wrestling, a relationship that saw Carl walk through the Forbidden Door on 1 occasion during his NJPW run in May 2022. Fredericks would represent Team NJPW Strong on an episode of Dark, where he and his colleagues would defeat QT Marshall's Factory stable in 10-man tag action, this less than a year before he joined the Performance Center in January 2023, since becoming a regular on NXT television under the name of Eddie Thorpe. NXT's resident cowgirl, Fallon Henley, is a name that fans of the Black and Gold brand have become familiar with ever since she became a regular on the show in late 2021. Since then, she's picked up the Women's Tag Team Championships alongside Kiana James, with her blue-collar gimmick getting her over with the audience prior to her recent heel turn. During her stint on the Independents between 2017 and 2021, the former Tesha Price would work for a number of promotions, including all-female companies companies like Shine and Shimmer, and you guessed it, All Elite Wrestling. Between the dates of November 2020 and August 2021, Price would work 21 matches for AEW, all of which she was on the losing side of, competing against the likes of Serena Deeb, Nyla Rose, and Julia Hart. It's worth noting that Fallon did actually make her WWE debut back in July 2018, when she lost to Lacey Evans on an episode of NXT, before working a dark match at the Mae Young Classic tapings against Britt Baker 1 month later, although she makes the list due to not having signed a WWE contract at that time. And speaking of Fallon Henley and her heel turn, it was Thea Hale that she betrayed on a recent episode of NXT, somebody who has also worked a match with Julia Hart under the AEW umbrella. Prior to signing with WWE in March 2022, the Chase U member would appear on 2 episodes of AEW Dark in September 2021 and October 2021 under her indie name of Nikita Knight, this during her first year in the wrestling business. It didn't take long for the now 20-year-old rookie to be spotted by WWE, having become a regular feature of NXT television in her 2 years as an in-ring performer, with her clearly impressing her coaches to the point where they've thrown it into the deep end with little hesitation. Channing Stacks Lorenzo is known as one of the henchmen of the D'Angelo family on NXT programming, a faction that's themed as an Italian-American mobster group. In his 2 years as a regular on NXT television, he and Tony D'Angelo have won the NXT Tag Team Championships on 2 occasions. His title reigns match the amount of AEW matches that he's had under his belt, as in the summer of 2021, the then Jake Tucker would be on the end of 2 quick losses on AEW Dark, losing to both The Blade and Frankie Kazarian, 1 year prior to becoming the gang member that we know today. As we've seen with some names on this list so far, Lorenzo has worked for WWE in the past prior to his AEW appearance, as he actually won a Show Us Your Superstar contest in 2014 at the age of 17, before making a series of videos at the Performance Center as well as appearing on the SummerSlam pre-show panel that year. He would later work as an enhancement talent on December 2nd, 2019, teaming with AEW's Mark Sterling in a quick loss to the Viking Raiders on Monday Night Raw, albeit not under a WWE deal at the time. Cora Jade has established herself as a key player in the NXT women's division ever since signing for WWE in January 2021. However, did you know that Cora Jade appeared in AEW long before CM Punk even returned to wrestling? In October 2020, going by the name of Elena Black, Jade would make 2 AEW Dark appearances in Daly's place, with her totaling under 9 minutes of ring time for the promotion. On October 7th of that year, Cora would be on the losing side of a singles bout with a rising Red Velvet, this before later participating in a tag team match that saw her team with Layla Hirsch to take on Velvet and Brandy Rhodes, once again coming out on the losing side of things. It's clear from this list that WWE had a keen eye on the younger stars of AEW Dark at the time, with Cora Jade being yet another star that was plucked from the All Elite developmental show. During the AEW All Out 2019 Casino Battle Royal, Priscilla Kelly would make a surprise appearance, marking her All Elite Wrestling debut in the process. At the time, Kelly was married to AEW star Darby Allin, who also made the card that night, with it seeming that AEW would be her home going forward. However, that wasn't the case. Priscilla would continue to work independent dates across the world before eventually making 1 more appearance in AEW the following year, this during the Jericho Cruise special of AEW Dynamite that aired on January 22nd, 2020. The match would pit Priscilla Kelly against Dr. Britt Baker DMD, who was on the road to winning her first AEW Women's World Championship, with the wrestling dentist putting her opponent away in just over 5 minutes with a lockjaw submission. This would be Kelly's final AEW match to date, with it later being revealed 7 months later that her and her husband Darby had divorced in August 2020, with the two stating that they remained friends going forward. 5 months after that, Priscilla would be revealed as one of the latest Performance Center signings with WWE, with her later wrestling under the name of Gigi Dolan. This was just over 3 years after her official WWE debut, where she lost in the first round of the 2018 Mae Young Classic to now AEW star Deonna Purrazzo. Gigi has since featured in many significant NXT feuds, even picking up the NXT Women's Tag Team titles alongside former friend and now rival Jacy Jayne. She's also made 2 main roster appearances during her time with the company, and it looks like the future's bright for the AEW alumni, with her becoming a standout of the NXT Women's division. Kiana James would recently be named as one of the latest main roster call-ups from NXT, with her moving to the Raw brand as part of the 2024 WWE Draft. As mentioned earlier in the video, Kiana is a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion alongside partner Fallon Henley, gold she picked up 1 year after signing for WWE in January 2022. Originally a student of the Flatbacks Wrestling School run by Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze, the former cheerleader would work 6 matches on record before joining WWE, 4 of which went down inside an AEW ring. In the latter stages of 2021, Kiana would be on the losing side of all of her All Elite matches, having shared the ring with the likes of Riho, Julia Hart, and The Bunny, this whilst working under the name of Tina K. Her last AEW match would happen in a dark match at an AEW Dark taping in December 2021, this just 3 months before making her WWE in-ring debut on an episode of NXT. Blair Davenport is another star that was recently moved from NXT to the main roster during the 2024 WWE Draft, having been selected to join the SmackDown brand. Blair has been part of WWE ever since joining the NXT UK brand in June 2021, where she would stay until the brand's conclusion in September 2022, before being moved to the United States branch of WWE Developmental. Prior to her move to NXT UK, however, Davenport, then known as Bea Priestley, was one of the first names to be signed to All Elite Wrestling in January 2019, this after impressive runs on the UK and Japanese independent scenes, this after reportedly turning down an approach from WWE at the time. However, after 8 matches over the months that followed, her time as an All Elite competitor was cut short due to unforeseen circumstances that changed the landscape of the entire world. She would be a regular on AEW television until the pandemic hit the following year, with travel restrictions leading to her ultimate release from the company in August 2020, with NXT UK being her eventual landing spot due to her residency in the country, a situation we saw with Nathan Fraser earlier in the video. Jade Cargill's entrance into professional wrestling was nothing short of explosive when she debuted in All Elite Wrestling on November 11, 2020. Her first appearance interrupting Cody Rhodes immediately captured attention, with her signing a multi-year contract the following day. Throughout her tenure in AEW, Cargill's star continued to rise, as she made a name for herself in the history books by becoming the inaugural AEW TBS champion, a feat achieved after a series of impressive victories. Cargill's dominance extended beyond the title as she amassed an impressive undefeated streak that lasted from her debut in early 2020 until May 2023, losing her final AEW match to date to Chris Statlander with the title on the line. Cargill's departure from AEW marked the beginning of a new chapter in her career as she joined WWE in September 2023, with the promotion making it clear that they had big plans for Big Money Jade from the off. The transition garnered significant attention, with WWE announcing her signing and subsequent training at the WWE Performance Center before making her in-ring debut for WWE at the Royal Rumble in 2024. Since then, WWE have crowned Jade and Bianca Belair as the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, with this expected to be the first of many titles that she will hold during her WWE career.